Good afternoon. My name is Tony Campbell. I am the Chief Executive for the MCIA, which is the industry trade body representing the motorcycle and scooter sector. I've been invited to speak to you today to talk about the growth in power two-wheeler sales in 2020 and how this helped facilitate keeping the country moving during the year of the pandemic. I'll take you through the figures first, and then we can touch on some other subjects regarding the road safety challenges. So, 2020 market. So you can see from the slide on the screen, the chart at the top, that gives us a quarterly progression of the market, and you can see that at the end of Q2, including June, which was a strong month, you can see the market was 37% down. And then throughout the year, you can see a progressive improvement. Q3 at 26% positive, Q4 at 25% positive, giving us a full year of minus 2.6. Yes, I did say the market was growing, and we'll have a look at that in a moment. Looking at it at a very high level, you can see motorcycles struggled at minus 6.7, but that was nowhere near as bad as we expected. And scooters of all capacities enjoyed a healthy growth of 10.5%. In the chart below, you can see that the blue line is the 2019 line, and that shows the shape of what our market would normally be. And you can see the registration peaks in March, and you can see the registration peak in September. Obviously, with the lockdown towards the middle of March, and then the impact that had on, you could see the market went into free fall, with the poorest month of the year being in April. We saw some recovery in May, and this was down to the introduction of the sector being included in the click and collect retail space. And then, of course, once we were fully opened in June and lockdown relieved, you could see the market trended fantastically, where the only month where there was a like-for-like for 2019 was in month 11, which is obviously we're in the midst of that other lockdown. Otherwise, I'm confident we probably would have seen a year-on-year growth. So what about the areas where this market was enjoying most growth? So you can see on the right-hand side that I've circled, it was all in the small capacity area. So for motorcycles up to 125cc, and then for scooters up to 300cc. And you can see some remarkable growth figures there. Compared to 2019. So this was even during the pandemic, we saw this amazing growth. If we look at electric power two-wheelers, so even though the market is actually still quite small, you can see that EPTWs was 50%, above 50% up on the previous year, giving us a total registrations for the year of 2,459. And this was predominantly in the area which is categorised as a moped. So, of course, it's registered, insured, licence requirement, CBT, but also a large part of the market was also in the 11 kilowatt space, which is the vehicles which are equivalent of 125cc. You'll see here that there's a chart showing all the different styles. I won't go into great detail on this chart, but you can see where the market really suffered in terms of those traditional segments, so which are normally associated with motorcycles as we know it. So to summarise on the market, the total market was far stronger than our initial forecast, which at the time, to be fair, was considered a bit optimistic. The market composition it has changed significantly, the volumes really moving into the smaller capacity and the learner legal space. Larger capacity and leisure being hit hardest. There were some distortions in Q4. This was a result of the end of series. We actually, as a sector, moved from Euro 4 to Euro 5. So to summarise, the growth was very much CBT learner legal, up to 125, 11 kilowatt, fully electric. Primary use is because it's low cost, it's COVID safe and commuting, and of course, it's everyday transport. So what are our challenges if we look ahead to 2021? Well, of course, we want to continue to drive growth in the small capacity EPTW segment. This is important. The sector has struggled for quite a few years. We haven't been bringing enough young younger people, new people into the industry. So this is really encouraging. We clearly need to recover some of that lost ground in the leisure and large capacity segments, which we're hoping to achieve once we come out of this current lockdown. And then, of course, it's how can we engage with those new riders to become habitual users and progress through the licensing regime to become regular motorcycle users. So what about the sector in terms of power two-wheelers and the role we can play in the future of transport? So we have been working really closely over the last 2.5, 3 years now with the government, more recently to contribute towards their decarbonisation of road transport strategy, which I understand is due to be launched at any time. We launched the Route to Tomorrow's Journeys document back in June of 2019, and that was really our lobby platform to make an argument for this sector in terms of its credentials with respect to efficiency, it being environmentally friendly, and of course low cost mobility. And then what we've all seen is this explosion in these vehicle types being used for that forever important last mile delivery. We do believe vehicle regulation and licensing needs to be reviewed, and we're currently engaging with DFT, DVSA on both subjects. But I think what we have to accept is that the market is changing dramatically. We have to ask ourselves, are we prepared? And do we understand what lies ahead? But what about road safety? And what's the important things for this group to consider? So first we need to sort of drill down into the stats, and the area that I most fondly like to take a look at is the primary causation, because I believe that this is a great place to start. This really should be the foundation of what the relative actions are from that point on. So we do know over the last few years that there's this roughly 60-40 split. 40% is at the rider's fault and 60% are for other reasons, whether that's other road users, whether it's infrastructure or any other reason. So from an industry perspective, I take a particular interest in this 40% at rider's fault, because actually that's something I believe we can do something about. So we are currently working on, and we'll be launching in the next few weeks, a road safety initiative, which is going to be designed to address this 40%. So that includes rider behaviours. It includes encouraging riders to take on advanced training. And it also means riders to be more considerate, not just of other road users, but where they are enjoying their motorcycling. And we know that noise is becoming a really big issue, not just across Europe, but certainly in the UK. But the food for thought that I'd like to leave on the table is, but what about the 60%? It is very, very difficult for the sector to do anything about the 60%. For sure, we need to make sure that new design and new technologies that are designed to help the rider and make the rider safe, we have to always fully consider those. But the bit that we can't address, other than through rider training, is awareness, risk assessment. And what we do need is we need a fresh look at how we're going to make other road users and infrastructure more accommodating for this user group. So I hope that leaves you with a good insight to the fact that we've had a very good 2020. We are looking forward to an even better 2021. We believe we have a very important role to play when the government launches its decarbonisation strategy, and we think we will be featured within that. And therefore, much the same way that cycling has been viewed over the last 10 years, how can we work together to make motorcycling and these lighter, more agile, more climate friendly forms of transport can become a main feature and be considered from a road safety perspective. So thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. If you do have any questions, please feel free to contact my office and I'll be very happy to come back to you, and we look forward to working with you again in the near future.